All right, Brent Fikowski, Professor Project. Thanks for watching this video. Semi-finals recap is the main purpose of this video. Kind of want to go through workout by workout, talk a little bit about how the weekend went down, and then also dig into sort of some main focuses for the next 9 or so weeks here for my games prep and for the Professor Project members that are joining in with me. I'm really excited. I think, the training leading up to semis went well. I was happy with my, my performance and my fitness, my results, but there's a few things that I'm excited to dig into. So, I think leading up to the games is sort of 4 weeks of hard work, and then a week of sort of a deload, and then another 4 weeks of work, more or less, and then there's like a deload and then the games. So you'll all be joining in with me on that. So if you're interested in that, if you're watching this and you're not a Professor Project member, would love for you to join in with this fun games training. Lots of good stuff, lots of good progressions, and yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun. I'm excited for it. I've kind of laid out the template with the help of my coach, and now distilling it down for you guys. Obviously the same if you're doing the follow Fikowski twice a day, for basically 6 days a week. And then if you are doing the essentials block, that's just a shortened version. So taking the most important bits and formatting it into about an hour and a half a day for 6 days a week. Yeah, some of the main things, we're going to be doing some interval work with some compounding movements that are compound movements themselves, but really focusing on thrusters, echo bike, lunges, sandbag squats, burpee box jumps. Sounds fun, right? Maybe like drag rope double unders, but things that are really all the same. So it's just like, that localized muscle fatigue, 4 minutes on, 4 minutes off for 4 rounds. It's kind of a classic interval format anyway for a lot of, threshold training if you're doing that in other sports. So kind of, using that, but with some mixed modal stuff. Still focusing on some high level gymnastic skills, and then in the last 4 weeks, blending those into some workout scenarios, which will kind of be fun, especially if you're following for that full 9 weeks. You'll kind of see what's up there. Some strongman workouts and tons of burpees. So those are I'll get later in the video. I'm going to talk a little bit more about those, and I'll actually have a video going over the programming for the coming week. From June 10th onwards, but that's what you guys have been doing with me already this week, June 3rd to June 9th, but I just didn't make a video because I've been busy, but it's up there. So the weekend semi-finals, first workout went really well. It was nice to know Heat 1's time. That was Pat and Chris Ibarra, 2 fit dudes, so they set some good times, and was loosely keeping track of that on my watch as I ran. Had a general sort of pace that I wanted to start at for the run, which was, I think it was about 4 minutes and 10 seconds per kilometer, and was able to do that on the flats. Obviously the stairs, you just kind of go on feel, and everyone was kind of running at that pace in our second heat, which was 20 men, because we all just sort of ran at that pace. And I thought, oh, that's interesting. I feel like if this is the appropriate pace for me, this must be too fast for a lot of these guys. Sure enough, it was. By round 3, things started to thin out. And felt pretty quickly after, I think it was round 2 or 3, that I was sort of racing James Sprague, which isn't a huge surprise. Really good runner, really fit guy. Figured he would take a leap this year in his fitness. Young guy, driven guy, he's had success, kind of knows what to do, has a good coach in Matt Torres. So sure enough, not only did he do well in the things you'd expect, which was, running stuff, he was also seeing improvement in other areas. So that was a fun workout. Tried to kind of hold on in those last 10 for touch and go, but had to break it up. I think 5, 2, and 3 set of touch and go. I don't know even if I would have went touch and go, if I could have beat James Sprague. He was just able to run so much harder on that last run than I was. And gain a lead. But I was overall really happy with that. Felt like all the running I've done has paid off. Especially, it wasn't a particularly fast pace, right? So, I know we do a lot of zone 2 running, and we've been adding in more intervals after, but that pace wasn't all that much faster than a zone 2 pace. I think by the end I was running like a 440 per kilometer a lot of the time. And so when a lot of my zone 2 work's going to be like 530 to 640, not that much different. So I've been spending a lot of time there, and importantly with that zone 2 work we've all been doing, it's you need those slow twitch muscle fibers and all that to be able to clear it's not lactic acid, but the move the blood around, basically. So you do those clean and jerks and you're dying, and if you can't recover while you run because you're so used to just running fast and you're just getting all pumped up, you are gonna be in big trouble for that first workout. So I felt like the training lent well to that workout, and you know, I was happy with my barbell cycling. I even kind of strict pressed one of the reps because we've been doing so much pressing, and I was trying not to use my legs too much for the clean and jerks. That worked well. Next workout was the front squat workout. We've been doing tons of tempo squatting, right? And I was really happy with how that paid off. Felt like my squat positions and all the back strengthening as well with, you know, the bent over rows, felt like I was in a much better position in my front squats than I have been in years past. And that weight, you know, for those reps, 5 sets of 10 at 225 front squats would have crushed me in years prior. So I was really happy with my pacing. There was a workout not completely dissimilar at Wodapalooza that had front squats, burpees, deadlifts, and dips. And in that workout, I was beat by James Sprague and I was beat by Sam Quant. And so I was able to beat them this weekend in that, which was something I was hoping to be able to do. You know, you never really know until it gets started. But yeah, I was happy with my time on that and happy with my execution. And that was a tough one, and that felt like that was very much the crux of the weekend for me, the kind of turning point. If I could get through that one, have a good score, and be not fairly unscathed when it came to leg soreness, I think I knew the rest of the weekend was going to go well. Workout 3, and I did, you know, and I did get through it unscathed. So workout 3 was the legless rope climb, echo bike, and box jump over. You know, I thought I could win this, right? So in the Europe semi, I saw Yelly go. He won the workout. He had the event record at the time, and you know, I was able to time all his splits on the box jumps, time his splits on the rope, time his splits on the bike, and I was like, you know what? I think I can do that, right? I think I can hold those similar paces on the box jumps, on the echo bike, and I did, right? So I think my echo bikes were anywhere from, you know, 29 seconds to 35 seconds, which is very similar to what Yelly did. And my box jump overs, I think might have been even a little faster than his. Hard to know with the transitions to compare. I think his rope climbs were probably a little faster than mine, up and down. I was still jogging transitions. Box jumps were about 22 seconds per set, which is kind of as fast as you can go. It's basically 22 seconds unless you're like really sprinting, but you can't maintain that for 7 rounds. So I was really happy with my pace, but it just wasn't fast enough to beat Pat, to beat Justin Medeiros, and certainly not to beat James Sprague. He was holding really aggressive paces on the bike, and on the last bike he had, you know, a second wind, and he was able to do that last 30 cals I think in like 22 seconds, which is super impressive to have that finishing kick in a workout like that where you're dying. So that's why we will be doing some tough intervals to hopefully build up that stamina. I've been doing a lot of zone 2, a lot of steady state stuff, which is boring. But, you know, now it's time before the games to really sharpen that higher intensity stuff and hopefully peak for the games. So something like that, I might be able to have that other gear at the end of a workout that I maybe didn't have to finish that run against James and the echo bike against James in workouts 1 and 3. But still really happy with that. Felt like the legless went well. Felt like felt pretty light on my feet for the box jumps. Ooh, excuse me. And yeah, I was overall happy with that. That was a hard workout. I think it was round 3 where I thought to myself, all right, like this is where you close that gap, because at that time Pat and James were kind of consistently getting to the box 2 reps ahead of me. I'm like, okay, I've held this gap, and now let's push. And so I tried to push and I couldn't. I tried to push on the bike and rev it up there, and I just couldn't. I knew I wouldn't be able to really gain time anywhere else. And so I was like, well, let's hope one of them slows down, and if not, I'll just settle into 3rd or 4th place here, which is what I had to do, which was fun. The next day, the rowing handstand walk workout, that's a tough workout. You know, the margins there are so thin. You know, there's 20 spots within like 10 seconds or something like that. Everyone's under that 8 minutes. You know, you saw someone like Colton Mertens get essentially a low score or a bad score, and I think he did it in like 8:05 or 8:03, which is like really good, you know what I mean? But just everyone's doing that because the barrier to entry in that workout's so small. We can all row, and most of us can row pretty fast, and we can all walk on our hands in those distances without stopping. So it comes down to, do you transition a little faster? Do you turn around on the handstand walk a little faster? How fast are you on your hands, and how fast can you row? And so for me, you know, I don't have like light speed handstand walks. They certainly weren't the slowest on the floor, but they were not the fastest. You know, guys like Cole Grieshaber obviously has really fast handstand walks, and, you know, Victor Hoffer in the Europe semi. So they kind of had that cheat code there. And then they were able to, you know, Cole Grieshaber actually rode really fast as well. Whereas someone like Victor Hoffer didn't row quite as fast, but he didn't need to, you know. And so for me, it was, you know, picking that right pace between, there were some athletes that sped up their row throughout, like Jason Hopper did that last week, and then others that got a little slower as it went on. And so I did that. I did a little slower as I went on. That was the intent. And, you know, was just hoping to have, you know, a bit of a lead by that point, and then dig in on that last row, just row as hard as I could. And then, yeah, I was happy with it. I think the only thing I would have changed was the transition from my last row to my last handstand walk wasn't quite as rushed as I wish it would have been. I still need to go back and watch that, but I remember feeling like, oh, I'm pretty tired, and kind of being hesitant to kick up on that last set of handstand walks. I think I lost about a second there. And then on the last handstand walk, you know, my shoulders were pretty tired, right? So my shoulders and my, you know, my biceps and my triceps, and even kind of my grip were all a little fatigued just from the rowing and the handstand walking. And so I was a little hesitant, thinking like, oh, you gotta, like, you know, keep going, but don't go fast, because you don't want to fail, you don't want to run out of energy. And then when I did finish, I thought, I probably should have pushed a little harder and tried to speed up that last handstand walk as opposed to just get it done. And that might have been a few more places. That's probably the only big regret of the weekend, but there's a risk reward there for sure. If I'd pushed and, you know, made some mistake, if my hand went outside the line, or I, you know, maybe fell over, really had to slow down at the end, then, you know, that workout goes from, I think I finished, you know, 7th or 6th or something like that. All of a sudden that's an 18th, right? So not a terrible place to play it safe, but still kind of a spot where, I don't know, could have maybe been a little more aggressive. And, you know, I think in situations like that, you have to ask, like, you know, are you making those decisions based on confidence or fear? And so I think I was making it a little bit on fear, which isn't like a good, isn't a good frame of, you know, emotion to be making decisions in. But at the same time, you know, playing it smart is a good decision. So we'll see. Time will tell. Hopefully can get in some more handstand walking. We're going to keep working on the skills, mixing those in on the Wednesdays. And, you know, I think pushing the pace a little bit and some more handstand walk workouts to gain some more comfort there will be time well spent. Snatch workout went great, went faster than I even thought I was going to, but the weights felt light and was just pushing the pace, and then was, you know, trying to game it so I could beat Colton and beat the time to beat. Colton whipped out the touch and go. And like I think I said on the interview, oh, what were you thinking? I said, oh, like, I mean, I didn't think that was going to be an option. I think at that point there was only one person who'd done touch and go as a female in Australia, but she took like a really long break before she did it to kind of like do it for dramatic effect. It wasn't really a strategy to actually get a good time. It was just a, you know, something for the crowd more so. So she loaded the bar and waited 35, 45 seconds before she grabbed it. Whereas Colton and I, we were pushing the pace for, you know, the world record. So I figured with that level of fatigue that we both had, that a touch and go wasn't really something I had to be concerned about. Turns out I was wrong, but a good time to be wrong. I was still really happy with my performance, how well the bar was moving, and my choices. So, you know, that was a pretty cool moment for him, and obviously something that everyone's been chatting about, which is sweet. Someone has to be second, you know. And then going into the last workout, I think I was sitting in first, a few points ahead of Justin Medeiros in second. And so my goal was to try to win, right? My goal was to try to win the comp. And we'd done some testing, and I did exactly, you know, what I did in training, you know, the exact same pace, and figured I could do 4 sections of the lunge, set it down, and then 2 sections unbroken, based on my testing. So I was like, you know, I wanted to stick to that and, you know, believe that that was still possible. And so, yeah, did that and went 3 sections, and then tried to go, you know, I knew I had to set them down there. And then I figured, okay, let's end with 3. And right near the end, my grip gave out on my right hand, and I was trying to keep the dumbbell from falling on the ground. So I did 1 step with it curled, and then I knew I couldn't hold that for another step. So I tried to rest the dumbbell on my thigh, which is against the rules. The judge says, what are you doing? That's cheating. Go back and do that 12-foot section again. And I smiled. I'm like, yeah, you're right. So then I went back and did that section again. But yeah, other than that, I was kind of in the mix with, you know, James Sprague, Pat, and Justin to finish that workout right at the right time. So annoying, obviously, to lose it at the last second there. But I think even if I had locked out that lunge, I think that Justin would have gotten, you know, his place in that event. And then actually James and Pat were right ahead of me. So it was certainly very close. And, you know, I made those decisions based on confidence and belief that I could do it, and not based on fear. And so, which, you know, is something I'm happy with. And I felt like it was still a smart decision given the situation, and it wasn't a reckless one. And there's certainly in CrossFit, a lot of people make decisions based on, you know, an unfounded self-belief, like, oh, today's the day I'm going to do something crazy, and they're not capable of that. Whereas I felt like there was enough data to support that it was a good decision, and it was something I was capable of. So, you know, no shame in that. I'm happy with that decision. Obviously, in hindsight, you know, you bike a little slower, or you break up the lunges more or less, or you know, whatever. But overall, was still happy with my performance on that, and felt like my ring muscle ups held up well, which is technically something I've been working on a lot. So yeah, all that to say, happy with semis. It was nice to be on the podium with, I think I'm 33 and both those guys are 21. So kind of a cool, you know, image there, 12-year, you know, age difference on the podium between me and the other two guys, and still hanging with the young bucks. And feel like it's, you know, good indication that the training that I'm doing and that we're doing together is working, and building a robust, fit boy. And girl, for those of you out there with the ladies and the Professor project, don't want to forget about you. And yeah, I'm really excited for games training. I think, you know, there's a few things I can sharpen up on. Definitely wasn't really like exposed, but, you know, doing more gymnastics, you know, stuff like body weight, cyclical stuff. So we're going to be really focusing on that in the second 4-week block. You know, I feel like that's an area for myself, just because I'm like heavier. And there's going to be some heavier guys there. If I can separate myself, not necessarily from the smallest guys at the comp, you know, they'll probably still beat me. But if I can beat the bigger guys, like the Yeli Hostes, like the Romans, like the Jason Hoppers, Dallin Peppers, James Spraggs, all those guys, if I can beat all of them in a workout that has, you know, pull-ups and handstand push-ups and burpees, you know, there's a lot of points up for grabs there. So, you know, going to be focusing on that, the lightweight barbell cycling and stuff like that too, I think in the last block, just to make sure that that stuff is, I'm confident there. As much as maybe like seeing improvements, just really knowing my limits will, I think, have a lot of value. So thanks for listening. Obviously a long video. I got stuff to do. So I'm going to leave. If you have any questions, as always, with the programming this week, hit me up and I'll answer them. I hope you enjoy the programming this week. And I'm going to have a video out soon that kind of details in a little more detail what we're up to June 10th to June, let me get the 17th, I guess, right? 16th, June 10th to June 16th next week. Thanks everyone. Talk to you soon.